Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu, dear students. Hope you people are good. You people are doing good at your respective homes, and you people are in the pink of your health conditions. Last time we're talking about sixth postulate of the Daltons atomic theory. Let me recapitulate what we discussed in the last video lecture. In the last video lecture, my dear students, I told you people regarding the sixth postulate. As far as sixth postulate is concerned, Dalton in sixth postulate is telling us that during a chemical combination, my dear students, atoms of different elements combine in simple whole number ratio to form compounds. For example, when either elements may be same, they may be different. When they combine with each other, there's always the formation of the compounds, my dear students. What Dalton said during chemical combination, atoms of different elements. For example, this is nitrogen. Whenever this nitrogen reacts with hydrogen, it forms NH3, that's ammonia. Means whenever there is a reaction of a nitrogen with hydrogen, there is formation of ammonia. And this ammonia, whenever this ammonia gets formed, the ratio is always 14:3. What Dalton is telling us during a chemical combination, means whenever there is a chemical combination between nitrogen and hydrogen, my dear students, atoms of different elements, nitrogen is one element, hydrogen is another element, that means they are different from each other. Nitrogen is one element, hydrogen is another element, that these are actually the two different elements, my dear students. They combine in simple whole number ratios. This whole number ratio 14:3 means that whenever there is a formation of ammonia, and ammonia is always formed by a process, and that process is known as Haber process. Haber process, my dear students, Haber process. So whenever there is a formation of ammonia, there is always the nitrogen is always in presence of, say nitrogen, 14 parts of nitrogen and 3 parts of hydrogen. When they react with one another, there's always the formation of ammonia. So this ammonia is always formed by a process, and that particular process known as Haber process. So regarding the sixth postulate, Dalton said that during a chemical combination, atoms of different elements combine in simple whole number ratio to form compounds. So that we discussed it in the last video lecture. This was actually the sixth postulate of the Dalton's atomic theory. Now the seventh postulate, the last postulate, the sixth postulate was actually the penultimate postulate. Now the seventh postulate, which is very important postulate, we are going to discuss as far as Dalton's atomic theory is concerned. Let's discuss seventh postulate, my dear students. Postulate number 7. What postulate 7 is telling us? That all chemical reactions are due to combination or separation of atoms. Or the seventh postulate is atoms of same element can combine in more than one ratio. All chemical reactions are actually the reactions in which the old bonds do get broken and the new bonds do get formed. This is actually the definition of the chemical reaction. We have discussed this thing. And or due to the combination, I mean to say that whenever there is elemental combination, there is always a chemical reaction between the two elements, and there is formation of a compound. This postulate actually is telling us that atoms of same element can combine in more than one ratio to form more than one compound. Postulate number 7, my dear students. Let me jot down this. Seventh postulate. This atoms of, jot it down with me, students. Atoms of same elements. In other words, I can say that atoms of same elements can combine in more than one ratio to form compounds. Sixth postulate was that atoms of different elements combine in simple whole number ratio to form compound. Postulate 7 is telling us that atoms of same elements can combine. We're discussing the atoms of different elements. Now we're discussing the atoms of the same elements, my dear students. The seventh postulate, that's atoms of same elements can combine in more than one ratio to form more than one compound. In sixth postulate, we were discussing that atoms of different elements. Like, for example, I told you people in the last video lecture that atoms of different elements. For example, this is carbon. Whenever this carbon reacts with oxygen, there is formation of a carbon dioxide gas, and the ratio is 3:8. Means 3 parts of carbon dioxide and 8 parts of oxygen will react with each other. There is always the formation of a carbon dioxide gas. So this was sixth postulate, but seventh postulate is telling us, my dear students, have concentration towards me. This is very important topic, and this is very important postulate. Atoms of same elements can combine in more than one ratio, means they can have different, I can say, elemental combination, means they can combine in different fashion as well, one ratio to form more than one compound. For example, let me give example of this. Hydrogen and oxygen, when they react with each other, there is always the formation of water. This is I can say one combination. Second combination, I'm telling you that atoms of same elements can combine in more than one ratio. For example, they can also combine with this hydrogen, can also make reaction with oxygen to form hydrogen peroxide, that is H2O2. This is the formula of peroxide, H2O2. What postulate 7 is telling us, that's atoms of same elements. For example, this is hydrogen, this is oxygen. When they react with each other, there is formation of a water, but they can react with in another fashion as well. For example, this hydrogen, it reacts with oxygen, it forms hydrogen peroxide. First it got reacted and they form water. Now in another fashion, they react with one another and they form hydrogen peroxide, and this hydrogen peroxide is also a compound, and this water is also a compound. So what Dalton is telling us, that atoms of same elements can combine in more than one ratio to form more than one compound. For example, this hydrogen reacts with oxygen to form water. Also they react with each other to form hydrogen peroxide. That means they can combine in more than one ratio to form more than one compound. So the seventh postulate is atoms of same elements can combine in more than one ratio to form more than one compound. The example of I can say hydrogen and oxygen. When hydrogen and oxygen react with each other, they form water, and when they react with each other in the second phase, they form H2O2, this hydrogen peroxide. So in water, 2 atoms of hydrogen combine with 1 atom of oxygen, while in hydrogen peroxide, 2 atoms of hydrogen combine with 2 atoms of what is actually the nitty-gritty, basic nitty-gritty of this Dalton's atomic theory. So the basic nitty-gritty of this Dalton's atomic theory, actually this Dalton's atomic theory gave the concept of atom as the smallest particle of the matter. My dear students, I have given almost 5 lectures on this Dalton's atomic theory, but during the first lecture I told you people that this is actually the atom around which this Dalton's atomic theory revolves. So the basic nitty-gritty, I mean to say that bottom line of this Dalton's atomic theory is that it gave the concept of atom as the smallest particle of the matter. I mean, say this atom, what Dalton said in during I can say this Dalton's atomic theory, when he proposed the Dalton's atomic theory in 1808, he said in his statement, the bottom line of the story, bottom line of my Dalton's atomic theory is that this atom is an ultimate particle of the matter. matter. Without thinking about this atom, it's that impossible for we people to get the knowledge regarding this matter. So somebody will pose you a question, my dear students. Somebody will pose you a question that what's actually the basic fundamental concept of this Dalton's atomic theory. My dear students, you people should answer in a jiffy at that very time. The basic nitty-gritty of this Dalton's atomic theory is that it gave the concept of atom as the smallest particle of the matter. For example, without that means actually this matter is actually made up of smallest indivisible particles, and those smallest indivisible particles are called as atoms. And without thinking about these atoms, it's that impossible for we people to study the matter. So the bottom line of the story is that an atom is an ultimate particle of a matter. So the last thing I told you people regarding this Dalton's atomic theory is that this atom is an ultimate particle. Ultimate particle. Ultimate particle, my dear students. Ultimate particle of matter. So we finished the Dalton's atomic theory. Today, in the next video lecture, we are going to study what's actually this atom is and how big these atoms are. So till then, stay safe, stay blessed, and Allah bless you all. And don't forget this thing that the basic nitty-gritty of this Dalton's atomic theory is that it gave the concept of atom, that this theory gave the concept of atom as the smallest particle of the matter. That means if we go on dividing the matter, a stage will come that we can't divide the matter further, and those indivisible, those smallest particles, those uncuttable particles, those indestructible particles are called as atoms. Allah Hafiz, and thank you for watching this.